In my last video, I sat right here and we talked about something that I've toyed with but never really considered seriously, and that was living full-time in an RV. And the response really made me realize that so many of us are asking the same question right now. What can we really afford in retirement? And if RV life feels a little too uncertain, there's another option more and more people are turning to, and that is tiny home living. So today I want to explore with you that idea because once again, this isn't just a theory for me. There's something I'm genuinely trying to figure out. There's something about tiny homes that feels a little more grounded than RV life. You're still downsizing, you're still simplifying, but you're not moving every couple of days, and you have a place to come back to. And for many people, that feels like a better balance between freedom and stability. I have to admit, when I first started looking into tiny homes, part of me thought, could I really live in something that small permanently? But then I started thinking about how much space we actually use in our home. How many rooms sit empty most of the time, and how much we maintain just because we've always had it. And this also made me wonder, is the space or the cost really worth it? What draws people to tiny homes and tiny home living is very similar to RV life, but with a little different feeling. There's less maintenance, lower utility costs, no large mortgage in many cases, and it's a much simpler way of living. But unlike in living in an RV, you're not always worrying about where you're going to stay next, driving in bad weather, and constant travel planning. There's a sense of being settled in a tiny home without being tied down to the same way as a traditional home. But just like RV life, tiny homes are not always as simple or as cheap as they seem. There's the cost of the home itself, the land, where will you put your tiny home, and utilities. Zoning laws can be very complicated depending on where you live. And that really surprised me because it's not always as easy as just buying a tiny home and placing it somewhere. More often, I am seeing tiny home villages pop up around the country. They are wonderful communities of 55 and older that are planned villages, and some even have some added amenities like clubhouses and even pickleball, which is pretty popular right now. And emotionally, it feels different too. With RV life, there's movement, adventure. With tiny homes, it's more about creating a quiet, intentional life. There's less noise, less clutter, and less distraction. And for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for in this stage of life. But let's be honest about the challenge. Space is still very limited. Storage takes real thought. Downsizing is not an option. It really is necessary. And if you're living with someone, like I mentioned in the RV video, you're still sharing a very small space. There's also the question of location. Will you be near your family? What about your doctors? And what about community? Because unlike RV life, you're choosing where to stay. So I find myself comparing the two. RV life feels like freedom, movement, and flexibility, where tiny homes feel like stability and simplicity and rootedness. And I think the real question is, which one fits the life that you actually want? While I don't have an overly large home, there's something about the idea of a small, simple space that feels peaceful. But there's also a part of me that wonders, would I miss the space that I've been used to for so long? Would it be freeing or limiting? And I think these are questions that we can only answer for ourselves. What's becoming clear to me through all of this is that retirement is changing. The old picture of one home paid off and living comfortably doesn't look the same anymore. And people are getting creative and they're rethinking of what home really means. So I'm curious, if you had to choose RV life or a tiny home or even a small apartment in a condo association, or would neither of these feel right for you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And in the next video, I will take this one step further and talk about what downsizing actually feels like, because that part is bigger than what most people expect. So chime in below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you the next time.